Attention pour moins 1 minute.
Don't comment.
Hey guys,
Watch the
fine.
show.
I'm here. Welcome to EUTELSAT KONNECT VHTS. Okay, we're almost down to 30 seconds.
À tous de DDO, attention pour le décompte final. 10, 9, 8,
8,
7,
7,
6,
6,
5,
cryogenic arms retract,
3,
3,
2,
2,
1,
1,
top.
allumage Vulcan,
Allumage Vulcain,
allumage EAP, décollage.
allumage des EAP et décollage.
Look at it go.
La trajectoire est nominale. La propulsion est nominale.
Well, Ariane 5 has just disappeared.
Look at her
space.
go.
I mean, that was incredible.
I get the feeling we're going to get some
Vincent,
brilliant
that's
booster
Propulsion est
separation
nominale.
The clear
shots.
skies, the sounds of cameras clicking.
And we still have an incredible
Image.
That's really a bright night.
So, Vincent, can you tell
Le
us
pilotage
now?
est calme.
We're intrigued to know it's disappearing up into space, but what are the next important stages of its journey?
Yes, for the time being, the launcher is still in its initial conditions, that is to say, still in one piece, I would say. But in 1 minute, approximately, the two solid booster will separate from the main stage. That will occur at precisely at 2 minutes and 20 seconds. Then 1 minute later, the fairing will be
La
jettisoned.
trajectoire est
No more
nominale.
atmosphere, so no need to maintain the fairing on the launcher. At 8 minutes and 36 seconds, the Vulcan engine will be switched off, and the main cryogenic stage will be separated 6 seconds later. So the engine of the upper cryogenic stage will be then ignited and will take the reins during more than 16 minutes in order to reach the targeted orbit.
La propulsion est nominale, le pilotage est calme.
And we have the image
There they go.
of the booster.
We still have.
That's incredible.
Séparation
Told you
des
that
EAP.
would be beautiful.
So you have that confirmation.
Yes, we have the confirmation, yes, as you can see,
beautiful.
that the two boosters have been successfully separated.
So, Vincent, what I would like to ask you is, without these two boosters, the launcher is obviously now lighter than it was at takeoff. Can you tell us more about its weight now? Why does it need these boosters anymore?
Yes, so the launcher is liberated from any dead weight in order to maximize the capabilities of the different stages. So that's why, as soon as the solid propellant located inside the booster has been fully consumed, the two boosters are separated. So after this separation, the mass of
Tous
the
les
launcher
paramètres sont nominaux.
is only 170 tons, to be compared to 770 tons at liftoff time.
We still have an incredible image. That's incredible. And now we're waiting for the next stage.
Yes,
Séparation de la coiffe.
Fair
yes, we
separation.
got confirmation.
You can actually
that
see those as well.
as you can see on the video, that the fairing has been successfully jettisoned. So
That is a
here
big
we can
satellite,
see
Jesus.
the spacecraft. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Vincent. We have 5 minutes before our next
La propulsion est
milestone.
nominale.
So let's talk about Ariane 5's mission. We will come back to the different stages of this flight in a few moments, but before that, I would really like to talk about the specific geostationary orbit that we mentioned at the beginning of this program and towards which Ariane 5 is obviously now heading. First of all, what are the main orbits operated by Ariane Space?
Well, for observation and METEOSAT that need to pass over an Earth region at the same local time every day, we use SSO orbit, so a Sun synchronous orbit. For the International Space Station and also particular satellite constellations that need to be relatively close to the Earth's surface, we use a low Earth orbit, for which the proximity to Earth is very useful, I would say. The TelecomSat, as a KONNECT VHTS, need to stay constantly above one particular place over Earth. So they have to be placed on a geo-orbit, geostationary orbit. Ariane 5 can inject such telecom orbit, satellite, on a geo-transfer orbit called GTO. So the satellites are not directly placed on their final orbit. They need to use their own energy. They can move to the final geostationary orbit.
Okay, and you explained me before that it's a specific flight tonight because the orbit targeted is special.
Yes, tonight Ariane 5 will inject the KONNECT VHTS spacecraft on a GTO orbit with an apogee at 60,000 kilometers, which is a little bit unusual. So the strategy to consider such an injection with a very high apogee comes from a request from our customer and is made possible by the performance capabilities Ariane 5 can offer for this single launch mission. So we have customized the injection orbit in order to satisfy as best as possible the request and demand from our customer.
Okay, I'm sorry to insist. Why is it a special demand, I guess? You know.
In fact, such GTO injection enables our customer to reduce the quantity of propellant needed for the spacecraft to reach the final geo-orbit after its separation from the launcher. So in other words, such injection is a more energetic orbit, on a more energetic orbit, enables to reduce the propulsive cost for the spacecraft to reach its final operational orbit. The consequence is that the spacecraft will consume less propellant and its operational lifetime will be then extended.
Yeah.
So what kind of satellites is this particular orbit suited to?
Such orbit is very interesting typically for electrical satellite as KONNECT VHTS. It enables the spacecraft operation engineer to optimize the post-launch sequence from the spacecraft separation from the launcher up to the time when the spacecraft is positioned in its final orbit.
Okay. Let's go back to live, tonight's mission. Can you tell us about Ariane 5's present status?
Yes, so we are getting near the end of the main stage flight, so the flight sequence is running perfectly as expected. Yes. The cutoff of the main stage engine will occur in 1 minute and a half, approximately at 8 minutes and 36 seconds. And the launcher is still tried by the Galileo ground station near Kourou. It will be seen very soon by Natal. So we've got the confirmation that the launcher is now seen by the Natal ground station.
Okay.
Okay, well, I just want to say, going back into the Jupiter, we are with these very important VIPs today, Eva Bernecker, Dominique Dinin, Ross McInnes and Hervé Daré. A bit of information here. Eva took the helm of EUTELSAT at the beginning of the year as Chief Executive Officer. Dominique heads the telecom. They're not just here on the screen yet, but but we'll see them
outside the Jupiter room.
But
watching,
we'll see them later.
Definitely.
There's Dominique, who heads the Telecom Operators Board of Directors, of which Ross is a member. Hervé heads Thales Alenia Space, and it's his teams who designed and built the satellite launch tonight, EUTELSAT KONNECT VHTS.
And we'll have the pleasure
of
to
meeting
interview,
them, exactly.
to interview later on Road to Space. Let's go back to the flight, tonight's flight. We are not waiting for another announcement, really important by the DDO, and it's about the main core.
Yes, so there will be a successive announcement by the DDO. So there will be the extension of the main stage, separation, and after the beginning of the upper stage flight.
Okay.
So we got confirmation that the PC is now The engine is cut off and the main stage is well separated, yes.
Well separated. And we can see on those images
yes, and the upper
behind
stage
us.
is now ignited, yeah.
Okay. So far, so good.
L'image de l'ESC.
Yes, so everything
Les paramètres sont nominaux.
is running as expected. And in few seconds, we will lose the visibility of the launcher from the Galileo ground station.
Okay. And all of this is 100% normal.
Yes, 100%.
All is going to plan. Well, we are just about...
We're just waiting, yeah.
Exactly, for the Galileo tracking station to lose it. It's obviously operated by KONNECT in Kourou. It is the first telemetry station located on Ariane 5's trajectory, which is obviously eastward launched. In the last 2 minutes, it is the natal tracking station in Brazil, which has taken over and is now in contact with the launcher.
Okay, so we're still waiting for the next announcement. For those who are joining us, you will have a replay. Stay with us. Can you just give us a sum up of what happened and what will occur?
Yes, so the main cryogenic stage was separated 1 minute ago, approximately. So this main stage is falling back to Earth, so in the Atlantic Ocean. And now the upper stage, yes, has taken the reins of the flight, and the Ariane 5 mission continues.
At this stage of the mission, Ariane 5 no longer looks anything like the launcher that took off at 6:45 local time. How many kilos did it lose exactly?
Well, the launcher has been lightened by the mass of the empty main stage, and its weight now is only a little bit more than 25 tons, to be compared to 770 tons at the liftoff time.
Okay, thank you very much for all those informations. As Ariane 5 continues its trajectory, let's take another look at this unique satellite on board, the EUTELSAT KONNECT VHTS. It was a challenge to build for Thales Alenia Space. We'll learn more about its construction. It's our next lineup, Because Science.
Le satellite KONNECT VHTS se caractérise par sa taille, sa puissance et son efficacité.
KONNECT VHTS est surtout un défi, est un satellite très puissant et qui nous offre beaucoup de flexibilité.
Bertrand and Tony are engineers for the operator EUTELSAT. For the past 4 years, they've been working on the latest satellite of the fleet, EUTELSAT KONNECT VHTS. On the occasion of this launch, they granted us an interview to share with us the secrets of this unusual satellite.
Le but, c'est vraiment d'essayer de réduire cette fracture numérique dans une partie de l'Europe, le nord d'Afrique ainsi que le Proche-Orient, ainsi que de fournir des services de connectivité pour les avions et pour les maritimes. C'est un satellite superlatif, c'est le satellite le plus gros, le plus massif, le plus puissant qui n'a jamais été construit en Europe.
Il fonctionne de façon classique comme les autres satellites géostationnaires de télécommunications.
Basiquement, ce qu'on veut, c'est d'établir un service d'Internet entre un fournisseur d'Internet et un utilisateur. Et au lieu d'utiliser un câble de fibre optique ou un lien ADSL, on va utiliser un satellite. C'est un peu différent que les autres satellites classiques qu'on a, qui fournissaient la télévision. C'était des satellites qui avaient des faisceaux assez larges. Maintenant, dans un satellite HTS, on a des faisceaux assez étroits.
Grâce aux antennes de 3,50 m.
Ce qui va nous permettre de réutiliser la fréquence autant qu'on peut, ce qui va booster la capacité. C'est un satellite avec une telle capacité qui le fait très attirant pour le déployer pour un service de type broadband.
Il a deux particularités, c'est qu'il utilise un système de propulsion électrique, utilisant des propulseurs plasmiques, qui permet d'optimiser la consommation de carburant pour le transfert depuis l'orbite d'injection jusqu'à l'orbite géostationnaire et aussi pour les manœuvres à poste. Et après, il y a une deuxième innovation, c'est le sous-système de contrôle thermique qui utilise ce qu'on appelle une boucle fluide qui permet de mieux répartir les calories dissipées par les équipements de la charge utile.
Pour nous, du point de vue commercial, c'est la première fois qu'on embarque un digital processor ou un processeur numérique. C'est le plus grand, le plus puissant jamais mis en orbite. Et ça va nous permettre de gérer flexiblement la capacité, de la louer là-bas où il y en a besoin.
For these two engineers who are passionate about technology and innovation, working on this satellite has been an incredibly special experience.
C'est un sentiment de fierté d'avoir participé à cette aventure.
Je reprends d'abord ton dernier mot, la fierté, parce que du point de vue technique, c'est un défi. C'est un défi de travailler pour un satellite complexe comme KONNECT VHTS, avec un DTP. C'est pour la première fois qu'on a ce type d'équipement dans l'un de nos satellites.
C'est toujours excitant de travailler pendant 4 ans sur un satellite qui est l'un des plus puissants et les plus gros jamais construits en Europe.
So during our report, we saw the acquisition of Ascension Tracking Station, which is the third telemetry station on Ariane 5's trajectory, located, guys, as its name suggests, on Ascension Island in the Atlantic Ocean. Did you know that?
Yeah.
Yes.
On board Ariane 5 tonight, we have a highly
want to go there.
innovative satellite. I talked to you before, the EUTELSAT KONNECT VHTS. So VHTS means very high throughput satellite. Vincent, the previous launch of the KONNECT satellite was in 2020. It was in January the 16th, but it was a lighter one.
Yes, the first KONNECT spacecraft was launched as well by Ariane 5. It was a lighter spacecraft, about 3.6 tons, based as well on a Spacebus Neo platform from Thales Alenia Space. It was the first flight model, and successfully launched in dual launch configuration to a standard GTO orbit.
Okay.
Can you tell us about this amazing, this very strong relationship bond there is between Ariane Space, EUTELSAT and Thales Alenia Space?
Yes, so Ariane Space and EUTELSAT have built a very strong relationship since 1983. A very long and mutual confidence, as demonstrated by the two-night launch. KONNECT VHTS is a 37th EUTELSAT spacecraft launched by Ariane Space.
Well, yeah, so that's a long-term friendship, we could say. We've been talking about the past, but now let's talk about the future. Let's talk about Ariane 6, the new European launcher.
Because of course we are getting closer and closer to the maiden flight. Teams from ESA, KNES,
Yes,
and
that's going to
have
be
been very busy over this summer,
fun.
reaching important milestones in the preparation of Ariane 6. Well, in the following report, we have all the latest updates, and we'll be showing you some exclusive images.
Exciting times for the European space industry as the combined tests for the Ariane 6 launcher have begun. The objective of these tests is to verify and validate the compatibility between Ariane 6 and its dedicated launch pad at Europe's spaceport in French Guiana. It's an essential dress rehearsal to prepare and train the teams before the rocket's inaugural flight. An industrial and human adventure with thousands of people spread across many European companies and institutions working together. The Ariane 6 program is managed and funded by the European Space Agency ESA, with Ariane Group being responsible for the design and development of the launcher itself. The French Space Agency KNES took responsibility for the construction of the new Ariane 6 launch base at Europe's spaceport, and Ariane Space will be the launch service provider for Ariane 6. With the combined tests at Europe's spaceport, a number of milestones have been achieved over the course of the summer. In the new launcher assembly building, teams from Ariane Group, KNES and ESA completed an important step of the process, the horizontal mechanical and electrical assembly of Ariane 6's central core. A few weeks later, the rendezvous. For the first time since its conception, Ariane 6 was able to meet its launch pad. The doors of the launcher assembly building opened to let Ariane 6's central core through. It took about 20 minutes at 3 kilometers per hour for the launcher to cover the 800 meters separating the assembly building from the launch pad. The rocket was then lifted from its horizontal assembly position to its vertical position. Ariane 6 is the first launcher in the Ariane series to be assembled horizontally. It makes it easier for the technicians and helps save time and money on every launch. Another element contributing to the competitiveness of Ariane 6 is its P120C solid rocket boosters. The P120C solid propellant motor is also used by Europe's other new launcher, Vega C. Sharing this key component means cost savings for both rockets. The P120C demonstrated its performance on the 13th of July with the successful inaugural flight of Vega C. But it's not only in French Guiana that testing of Ariane 6 continues. In the purpose-built test facility in Lampolshausen, Germany, crucial firing tests of the upper stage engine will soon begin. Then the upper stage will undergo further testing at ESA's ESTEC Technology Centre in the Netherlands. Now only a few steps remain before the teams at Europe's spaceport can switch from the test models they're using for the combined tests to the flight hardware that will be used for the inaugural flight of Ariane 6. A first, which will be followed by many launches, continuing Europe's heritage of independent access to space.
Well, it's always very impressive to see the big beast moving on the launch pad.
The beautiful beast, Baptiste.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, let's get back to our mission. During our report, the Libreville tracking station located in Gabon has recovered the signal from Ariane 5.
La propulsion est nominale, le pilotage est calme, la trajectoire est nominale.
So we hear the DDO, everything is perfect. So in about 10 minutes, EUTELSAT KONNECT VHTS will be separated. This unique satellite was designed by the Thales Alenia Space team in Toulouse, in the south of France. And in our
I've been there.
We'll hear about the work of the satellite operation architect and the program manager. This is what we call our space work.
My favorite.
Je m'appelle Juena, j'ai 33 ans, je travaille comme ingénieur opération satellite à Thales Alenia Space.
Je m'appelle Stéphane, j'ai 48 ans, je suis maintenant chef de projet chez Thales Alenia Space et je suis ici depuis une vingtaine d'années.
Je travaille en tant qu'ingénieur opération. Ces opérations consistent à tester les équipements, à réaliser des poussées sur orbite pour corriger en fait l'orbite, jusqu'à ce qu'on arrive sur l'orbite finale, l'orbite dans laquelle le satellite va vraiment réaliser sa mission.
Je dirais qu'un chef de projet, c'est un peu comme un capitaine d'équipe de sport, foot ou autre. Et son rôle, globalement, c'est rassembler des équipes, faire travailler des gens ensemble, de différents niveaux, de différents métiers, leur donner les lignes directives pour les étapes à franchir, les challenges qui sont devant nous. Gagner le match, c'est quoi? C'est livrer un satellite avec les performances et le niveau de qualité requis, dans les temps et dans le budget qui m'est alloué. Et voilà, c'est un chef d'équipe, quoi.
C'était mon rêve d'enfant. J'ai toujours voulu travailler dans le spatial, depuis que je suis au collège à peu près. Je pense que c'est en 4e que j'ai eu le déclic. Je voulais même faire astronome. Et après, donc mes parents m'ont plutôt incité à me diriger vers des études d'ingénieur. Et par contre, clairement, c'était ingénieur non spatial ou rien. C'était vraiment ça ma vocation. Le mieux, effectivement, c'est de faire une école d'ingénieur. Du moment qu'on est motivé, on y arrive.
Majoritairement, c'est quand même des ingénieurs qui travaillent dans ces métiers-là, mais pas que. Il y a quand même effectivement de la communication, il y a de la finance et de la gestion de projet. Ce qui m'a beaucoup plu là, dans ce projet, c'est voir à quel point on arrive à motiver une équipe pour réaliser un objet, on va dire, un peu hors norme, et voir à quel point l'équipe s'est prise au jeu.
Il y a tellement de nouveautés dues au fait que c'est le plus gros satellite qu'on ait jamais fait, qu'il a fallu trouver des solutions inédites à certaines problématiques qui sont posées, et ça a motivé les équipes.
Pendant toute la phase d'assemblage du satellite, on l'assemble petit à petit, les petits morceaux par petits morceaux, donc il grandit petit à petit, donc c'est comme les enfants, on ne les voit pas trop grandir en fait. Et puis on a un test un peu particulier où on teste le satellite dans une configuration qui est proche de celle qu'il aura en vol. Et pour le faire, on le suspend à plusieurs mètres de hauteur. Et la première fois que vous rentrez là et que vous levez les yeux et que vous voyez un vaisseau spatial de 9 mètres de long au-dessus de vous, là vous dites waouh, enfin, c'est énorme.
Ça fait depuis l'Antiquité que les hommes regardent dans le ciel, ça ne va pas s'arrêter demain. Il y a encore des très grands projets qui s'organisent, aller sur la Lune. Il y a encore de très très grands challenges à réaliser dans le spatial. Je pense vraiment que l'homme est un explorateur et donc ça ne va pas s'arrêter là.
So for all you students watching with us tonight, if you have the heart of an explorer, opt for a career in the space industry because this is where the future lies.
Yeah, it's definitely the future.
Vincent, during the report, we have
Alright, what if I live in a country that had access to that kind of thing?
Yes, so we got confirmation that the launcher is now seen by the Malindi ground station, a ground station located in Kenya, so near the equator, in the east of Africa. And this is from this ground station that the spacecraft separation from the launcher will be seen.
Yes, and we are now only 5 minutes away from the separation of the EUTELSAT KONNECT VHTS satellite. So what will happen between now and then? What are the steps? What are the next steps?
In 1 minute and a half, the engine of the upper stage will be cut off. The launcher will be then injected on the spacecraft separation orbit.
Extinction de l'ESC.
It will enter a ballistic and orientation phase, the aim of which is to prepare the launcher and the spacecraft for the final separation. The spacecraft operation engineers will progressively take control of the satellite, and after different health tests and verification, they will initiate successive maneuvers in order for the spacecraft to reach its final orbit. So once arrived on the geo orbit, the operational life of the spacecraft
Début de la manœuvre d'orientation.
Could then start for a 15 years lifetime.
Yep, that's
So
shut
we
down.
heard the DDO just announced the start of the orientation maneuver. Can you explain what this means exactly and how do they manage?
Yes, so after injection on the separation orbit, and before the separation of the spacecraft, the launcher is slowly oriented according to the spacecraft needs. An important tilting is done between 150 degree and 160 degree, smoothly with a low rate of 0.8 degree per second. The duration of this orientation phase is about 4 minutes. These orientation maneuvers are ensured by the attitude control system of the Ariane 5 upper stage. Once the launcher is oriented in the correct orientation, the spacecraft separation is ordered by the upper stage. The clamp band that maintains and secures the spacecraft on top of the launcher is released and opened by a specific pyro activation device, and then the spacecraft is smoothly separated by a relaxation of specific springs.
So Vincent, can you tell us how the Ariane space team operates this maneuver?
So this is the work of a whole team. So the different steps of the mission are studied in a very early phase in the frame of the mission analysis and the launch preparation. Usually there are 2 loops in this launch preparation, so a preliminary one and a final one. On the basis of the spacecraft inputs we receive from our customers, the Ariane Space and Ariane Group teams work together and perform different studies and simulations that include the trajectory, of course, the ballistic phase, the related optimization, the payload separation, and the non-collision verification. The trajectory is finally optimized considering both launcher constraint and the spacecraft requirements, and enabled at the end to produce the flight software for the mission.
Well, thank you very much, Vincent, for all those explanations. Approximately 28 minutes ago, Ariane 5 lifted off from Europe spaceport. In a couple of minutes, it will complete its mission. EUTELSAT satellite will then commence its own mission, and it's a mighty, ambitious one. Before talking about that, what news do you have from the fishbowl? We see them on the image. Everything is concentrated.
So everybody looking forward to the final announcement from the range operation director we can see on the screen. So we are in the very last seconds before the spacecraft separation, and we wait for the the final announcement.
And it's probably one of the key points.
There we see Eva Bernecker, who is at the helm of EUTELSAT. We just saw her.
EUTELSAT KONNECT VHTS.
There it goes.
Wow. Yeah.
Excellent. Wonderful news.
C'est un bon fait, launch of EUTELSAT
We don't have much to
Connect.
explain when
Goodbye.
you see people